Hey everybody, welcome back to the good, the bad, and the fucking ugly podcast. Today's conversation is gonna hurt before it heals, just to let you know, because we've all told ourselves the same lie. Maybe they forgot, maybe they forgot to text, maybe they forgot your birthday, maybe you were forgotten, maybe they forgot to make plans with you. But here's the uncomfortable truth: most of the time, they didn't forget, they just didn't prioritize you. Okay, you guys know how this starts. We start with the good always. People make time for what matters. We've all heard people say that they're busy. And yes, life gets overwhelming. But busy people still eat, still scroll social media, still watch Netflix. They reply to the people they want to keep. Priority isn't about having time, it's about making time. Someone who values you doesn't have to talk to you every moment of the day, but they make sure you know you matter, and that is the difference. People make time for what matters. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked: consistency. People love to say the right things. I'll call you tomorrow. We'll definitely get together. I've just been busy. You know I care about you, right? Words are easy. Consistency is expensive because consistency requires intention. It requires someone to make a conscious decision over and over again to include you in their life, not just when it's convenient, but because they genuinely want to. A single grand gesture can impress you. Consistent effort is what builds trust. Consistency over excuses is something else. We become so used to accepting excuses that we started confusing them with effort. I'm busy. I forgot. I have a lot going on. Life happens. Everyone gets overwhelmed sometimes. But when the same excuse becomes a pattern, it stops being an explanation. It starts becoming a priority issue. Pay attention to people who consistently do this, not just when they occasionally do it, just when they consistently do it. Someone who values a relationship doesn't have to be perfect. They'll miss a call, forget a text, or have a stressful week, just like anybody else. The difference is they'll come back. They will communicate. They will make the effort to reconnect instead of expecting you to always have to understand while they'll never adjust. Consistency isn't perfection, it's reliability. Intentional communication is something as well. Communication isn't just always about talking, it's about making someone feel considered. Intentional conversation sounds like this: Hey, I've been swamped today, but I don't want you to think I was ignoring you. I love that. I can't make it tonight, but let's reschedule because I still want to see you. I love that too. I know I've been distant lately. That's on me, but I did want to check in. I do appreciate a good check in because I know my life is all over the fucking place. And I do be conscious when I do check in, or I'm very receptive of when someone checks in on me and they know I have a lot going on. I never want someone, this is me just talking. I never want someone to feel like I have forgotten about them because life is hitting me and life is life, man. So these are all very, very good examples because those messages don't take hours to send. They take intention. People often say if they wanted to, they would. I am a firm believer in that. I always tell people close to me, people make time for what they want to make time for. I think I said that in the last 48 hours. And that's just the truth. And then maybe it's an oversimplification, but there's truth in it. We all make time for what we decide what is important. Communication isn't measured by how many texts someone sends you. It is measured by whether their actions make you feel remembered, respected, and valuable. Also, too, we start talking about feeling emotionally safe. One of the greatest gifts someone can ever give you isn't flowers, which I'm not a flowers kind of girl, but if I do get flowers, it would be roses and sunflowers. They're so beautiful together. Red roses and sunflowers, so beautiful together. Expensive dinners or long speeches is emotional safety. Emotional safety is knowing that you didn't have to wonder where you stand with them. You don't have to decode mixed signals. You don't have to question whether they're going to disappear for days and act like nothing happened. You don't have to earn basic respect. When someone's actions consistently match their words, your nervous system relaxes. You stop overthinking. You stop checking your phone every 5 minutes. You stop creating stories to explain their silence because their behavior has already answered the question. And that's what emotional safety looks like and feels like. Not perfection, predictability. Effort is the real love language in all of this. People ask, what is your love language? Words of affirmations, acts of service, quality time, physical touch, or gifts. Just being super transparent, I am quality time. That will be my love language is quality time. I necessarily am not a big gift receiver. I'm a gift giver. Physical touch that can go either way. If you know me, you know me. Acts of service, that's probably my second one, but and words of affirmation, those will probably be a good two, but quality time for sure. So after hearing all these things, those are beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, all these things are beautiful, but none of them matter without effort. Effort is remembering. Effort is checking in. Effort is making plans. Effort is apologizing when you're wrong. Effort is choosing someone even when life gets busy. Effort is consistently consistent even when the excitement fades. Love isn't proven in the big moments everyone sees, it's proven in the ordinary moments no one notices. The text may say, made it home safely. The call after a long day. The promise they actually kept. The person who doesn't make you wonder if you matter because they'll show you that you do. At the end of the day, effort says that words can never say. Because anyone can say, I care about you. But the people who truly do never leave you guessing. Attention follows priority. Effort follows intention. Okay, now it's time for the bad. All right. You became convenient, not important. I'm going to hold your hand because I feel like this is going to be a holding hand segment. Here's where things get ugly. Some people don't forget you. They remember you when they're lonely, whew, when they're bored. Whew, I'm still hold your hand. When someone else leaves, when they need advice, when they need money, when they need validation, when they need something. Do you notice something? You're remembered only when you're useful. Baby, that's not love. That is convenience. You became convenient and not important. Now let's talk about the relationship that leaves you emotionally exhausted. Not because there's a huge fight, not because someone betrayed you overnight, but because you slowly have realized your value in their life dependent on what you can do for them. And that is the difference between loving someone and someone loving you for your availability. The friend who disappears until they need something. We all have these friends. I'm not going to sit here and hold you. This is the truth. And this is the good, the bad, and the fucking ugly. We all have this friend. If you don't hear from them in weeks, sometimes months, no. You get a how are you? No. I was thinking about you. No checking in to see how you're doing. Then your phone lights up. Hey, can I ask for a favor? Most likely it's money. Can you help me with something? I really need to talk to somebody. And because you're a good friend, what do? You show up again. But when you're the one struggling, radio silence. Friendship isn't supposed to be a one-way street where one person is always pouring and the others is always collecting. Healthy relationships aren't built on convenience, they're built on a mutual care. Ask yourself this. If you stop reaching out, will the friendship survive? Sometimes the answer tells you everything you need to know. Just think about that. Just think about that. The partner who only calls you late at night. There are people who only remember you when they're lonely, when they're bored, when their plans fall through, when everyone else has gone home. Suddenly it's, you up? Or, I've been thinking about you. Really? Really? Because they weren't thinking about you when they had time to make plans during the day. They weren't thinking about you when they ignored your messages. They weren't thinking about you when they kept canceling on you. Some people don't want a relationship. They want access. Access to your attention, your comfort, your affection, your validation. But they don't want the responsibility that comes with the consistency of you showing up. Don't confuse late night loneliness for genuine love. Now this one, I'ma hold your hand because we all have this. Family who only checks in when they want a favor. Y'all still with me? Okay. This one hurts because we expect family to be different. Sometimes the only time that your phone rings is when someone needs money. They need a ride. Well, not in my case because I don't drive. I don't have a driver's license, but I digress. They need advice, need you to babysit, need you to fix a problem. But when you need encouragement, when you are overwhelmed, when you were celebrating something important, there was no one to be found. Being related to someone doesn't automatically create a healthy relationship. Love doesn't only show up when there's something to gain. Healthy family relationships include support, curiosity, celebration, and care, not just requests. People expect instant access while giving delayed effort. Have you ever noticed how some people expect you to answer immediately? Even if you don't reply in 5 minutes, they texting you again. You see the bubbles. Now, if you ain't got no Apple iPhone, you don't understand the bubbles. But you know what I'm talking about. Calling, wondering where you are, but when you reach out, hours pass, days pass. Sometimes they don't respond until they need something else. That's not a communication problem. That is a expectation problem. Some people believe they deserve unlimited access to you while offering only occasional access to themselves. Relationships cannot thrive on double standards. If someone expects consistency from you, they should be willingly to offer the same consistency in return. Respect should never flow in only one direction. Now, here's the savage truth. Stop making excuses for patterns. One missed call is human. One forgotten birthday can happen. One busy week is understandable. But repeated inconsistency is information. Hear me when I say, when someone continually shows you that their only priority is when it's convenient for them, believe the pattern instead of waiting for the expectation. You deserve relationships where you're appreciated before you're needed, not just remembered when you're useful. Stop confusing being needed with being valued. They're not the same thing. Okay, now it's time for the fucking ugly. The hardest truth you'll ever accept is realizing that they didn't prioritize you. The hardest part is realizing you can't prioritize someone who wasn't even doing the fucking same for you. Hear me out. You rearranged your schedule. You answered every call. You dropped everything. You waited. You hoped. You excused. You forgave over and over again. Meanwhile, you were always an option. Treated them like they were only your choice. And that is exhausting. And eventually, it becomes disrespectful to you. Now, you may ask yourself, why we stay longer than what we should? Well, the answer is not as simple as you think. This is the part that nobody likes to admit because sometimes the hardest part is being honest with yourself. We just don't want to stay because of who someone is. We stay because of who we believe they could be. Hear me. Hear me out. Why we confuse potential with reality. Now, if you've been with me for a long time, you know I've talked about potential versus reality. So potential is one of the most dangerous things you can do when you fall in love. You meet someone and think they have so much potential. They're just going through a hard time. Once they heal, everything will be different. I know the real them is in there. So you start dating their future instead of accepting their present. You fall in love with promises instead of the patterns, with apologies instead of accountability, with possibilities instead of reality. The problem is potential doesn't build healthy relationships, actions do. You can't love someone into becoming who they refuse to be. And, hear me out, you shouldn't have to wait years hoping they will eventually give you what they've been capable of giving someone else all along. Love isn't about seeing who someone could be. It's about accepting who they consistently have chose to be. We also have a fear of letting go. Sometimes we stay because we are deeply in love. We stay because we're terrified of starting over. We think, what if I never find anybody else? What if I made the wrong decision? I've already invested so much time. Maybe next month it'd be different. Fear has a way of convincing you that familiar pain is safer than unfamiliar peace. So you settle, not because you're happy, but because uncertainty feels scarier than disappointment. And before you know it, you spent years protecting a relationship that's never protected you. And here's the truth: letting go, it hurts. But holding on to someone who keeps showing you that they didn't choose you hurts even more. Sometimes you have to grieve the person, even though they are alive. You're grieving the future you imagine with them. And these are two very different losses. So let's talk about breadcrumbing. I also have touched on this a few podcast episodes ago, but breadcrumbing is basically giving you what it says, breadcrumbs. So that's when someone gives you just enough attention, just to break it down to the people who don't know or wasn't listening. Just enough affection, just enough hope, just enough to keep you from leaving. A random "I miss you" can do it. A late night phone call, a heart emoji, a promise they'll do better. And then what? Radio silence. Until they feel you pulling away, and then suddenly they're back again. Not because they've changed, because they noticed that they were losing access to you. Breadcrumbing keeps you emotionally hungry. You've never had a full meal from this. Just enough crumbs, though, to convince yourself that maybe next time it'll be different. But you've been surviving on crumbs for months or years. You really have to ask yourself, why am I calling starvation love? Why am I calling starvation love? Now, for some people, for the next segment, we talk about emotional availability versus emotional convenience. Now, there's a huge difference between someone who is emotionally available and someone who's emotionally convenient. An emotionally available person shows up even when life is busy. They communicate, they apologize, they make space for your feelings, which is very important. They're present during both the celebrations and the hard conversations. An emotionally convenient person shows up only when it's easy, when they're lonely, when they're bored, when they need comfort, when everyone else is unavailable. You're not a priority, you are a backup plan. You're not a part of their daily life, you're a part of an emotional emergency kit. Real love doesn't put you on standby until it's convenient. Real love creates consistency. Now, here's the ugly truth. The truth is that changes everything. The hardest part in the relationship is to walk away, isn't always a toxic one. It's an almost one. The one that just enough good moments to keep you questioning yourself. The one that keeps whispering, maybe this time. The one that makes you believe you're one conversation, one sacrifice, or one more chance away from being chosen. But if someone has already repeatedly convinced you to wait for the version of them that they might become, they're asking you to postpone your own fucking happiness, your dating potential, and all. So stop dating potential. Stop negotiating for inconsistency. Stop mistaking occasional effort for genuine commitment. Because, hear me when I say this, the love you're looking for won't leave you surviving a hope. It will meet you with consistency, intention, and peace. The most dangerous relationship isn't the one that breaks your heart overnight. It's the one that keeps giving you just enough hope to waste another year. So we here with the comeback. Become someone who notices the difference in you. Healing isn't becoming better. Healing isn't becoming observant. You stop chasing. You stop explaining your worth. You stop begging for consistency and simply believe what people repeatedly have showed you. Not because you're cold, because you finally have learned that peace requires discernment. The people who are meant for your life won't make you question whether you matter, because you'll know, because they'll show up. I'm going to leave you with this. Well, a few things actually. Remember these things. They didn't forget your birthday. They didn't get to reply. They didn't forget they said they'll call. They remembered. It wasn't just important enough to act on. And while that is the truth and it does hurt, it also sets you free. Because once you stop making excuses for people, you start making room for the people who never needed one. You deserve relationships where effort is mutual, communication is intentional, and your presence isn't treated like an afterthought. Stop chasing people who only remember your name when it's convenient. Someone who truly values you won't leave you wondering where you stand. You'd never have to convince the right people that you are worth prioritizing. This week, ask yourself these three questions, or pass these questions along and start a conversation. Who consistently shows up for me without being asked? 2. Who only reaches out when they need something? 3. Am I giving more access to people than they're giving effort? Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do isn't send another text, it's stop waiting for one. And our favorite time of the week, red flag of the week, is they expect immediate access to you, but take days to respond to you. They say they're busy, yet somehow always have time for everyone else. Consistently tells the truth. Excuses tell the story they hope you'll believe. Pay attention to patterns and not apologies. Okay, this is your girl, Pretty Girl Tip, and I'll see y'all next Wednesday. I hope you love, like, and share this podcast, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Okay, love you, bye.